Yep, so I'm going to be presenting about Hershey, a company that I'd be willing to bet you're all familiar with. Hershey makes different candies, such as Reese's, and it even does icebreakers, but also makes other more healthy brands like Skinny Pop and Pirate's Booty. Hershey's goal, or within their mission statement, they say that they want to provide moments of goodness to people throughout the world, and that kind of talks about their sustainability. So what I wanted to find out is that can they make the deal even sweeter through their sustainability practices? So I'd like to talk a little bit about the history of Hershey's. It was founded by this guy, Milton Hershey, who he grew up making candy. Before Hershey, he had two other candy businesses that failed. But then finally, when he saw an increase in demand for Hershey, so he created for chocolate. So he created a chocolate that was cheaper and more accessible for the general population. So we founded the Hershey Company in 1894. And the important thing to talk about with early Hershey is that it really was all about it was a responsible company, basically. You've all heard of Hershey, Pennsylvania, like the home base of Hershey, where Milton Hershey basically built this community around his company to support his workers and make sure that they were proud of their work and living good lives. I thought it was interesting. There was also a similar situation in Hershey, Cuba, which is the picture, which had one of the only real electric rails at the time. Another huge thing that he did is that kind of shows his corporate social responsibility was that he's a company to found the Hershey Industrial School for orphaned boys to help give these young children who lost their parents more opportunities. And that school is still open today, which I thought was really cool. So their sustainability strategy, the overarching title is called Shared Goodness. And then within that, there's shared futures, shared planet, shared communities, and shared business. So starting with shared futures, this one's all about giving kids opportunities and making sure that they have the nutrition and education they need to prosper. So the first thing is Nourishing Minds, which is all about, like I said, it's providing the nutrition for kids that need a little bit extra to meet what they need. One of the projects they have in this is BV. BV is this ground nut supplemental, basically snack that they produce and then distribute in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Today, it provides over 50,000 kids a day. The company provides over 50,000 kids a day with BV, which really does help them. It helps them meet their nutritional needs and excel and do better in school. And then the Heartwarming Project is all about helping students, mostly in the US, who are trying to go above and beyond to improve their community. So they'll give out $250 action grants to students who have applied and have a set project that they're working on in order to improve their community. So that's what Shared Futures is all about. Moving on to Shared Planet. This one's all about their waste and water management, sustainable packaging, things like that. For a lot of these, such as water and waste management, they set 25 by 25 goals, which means they want to use 25% less water by 2025 and 25% less waste by 2025, which they haven't really made too much progress towards those goals. I think they set the goals in 2015. They haven't been making progress to meet their goals, but I think that they will be improving by the end. Other things to do is more data collection. So they're installing water meters to really figure out, okay, where can we cut down on our water usage and things like that. And they also do different trainings, for example, so that people in their factories and facilities can pick out, okay, what's recyclable and what has to go to the landfill, things like that. In terms of their scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, they just recently started doing scope 3 emission audits. So they don't really have too many projects on that. They've committed to constructing 2 solar farms to help with their scope 1, the other types of emissions. So next up is Shared Communities. This is really all about basically donating money and time. It's a lot of philanthropy and volunteering. So they donated, in 2019, it was 20.5 million in cash and different products like food banks and things like that. And They also, every year, they donate a set percent of their pre-tax profit. So in 2019, it was 1.63%. They also give incentives for their employees to volunteer. For example, with their Dollars for Doers program, which would give a $500 grant to employees to donate if they volunteered for 50 hours or more in a year. So that helped to total out with over 130,000 employee volunteer hours. In terms of benefits for their employees, SmartFlex is a thing they recently implemented, which is a group of policies that basically make it so like if you're like a salaried worker at Hershey, you have all these different options for like working at home or extra maternity leave and things like that. In terms of diversity and inclusion, it actually has a 100% rating on the HRC Corporate Equality Index since 2015, which is pretty impressive. And one of the things they do is that they have these business resource groups within the company that are headed by employees to represent different minorities and help bring in diverse talent to the company. Shared business is one of their bigger ones. This has to do with responsible branding. So like they don't advertise to children. They are very specific, like do not specifically advertise for children because you don't want to influence the health of the children. And then the other huge thing is with their supply chain, responsible sourcing, and human rights. They partnered with this company or this nonprofit called Verite that helps them build this plan to really ensure their responsible sourcing. And then with human rights and child labor, they really focus a lot on child labor. They have this thing called the Child Labor Monitoring and Remediation System, which goes into a lot of their like suppliers, different communities and farms, and they make sure that these children aren't doing any dangerous labor. So in 2019, they monitored about 69,000 children. 0% of them were found to be in forced labor, and 6.7 were found to be in doing dangerous labor and received the help to ensure that they weren't doing this. And this can be something as simple as like giving a family farm a wheelbarrow so that the children don't have to be carrying around heavy materials and things like that. So Cocoa for Good is within their main sustainability strategy, but it focuses on just the cocoa supply chain. It's helped them ensure that 100% of their cocoa is sustainable, sustainably sourced and certified cocoa. Within this, they plan to donate $500 million by 2030 to help support these goals. BV and the CLMRS are both within Cocoa for Good, just to ensure that these cocoa communities are doing that. And another thing they do with Cocoa for Good is that they really support the farmers and they help the farmers use different strategies such as diversifying their incomes and crops in order to increase their yield, as well as make the farmers' lives more sustainable in terms of like their income and supporting their families. So my analysis of it, I found that at their core, Hershey is an extremely socially responsible company. But I think their downfall is that it's just that they do a lot of donating, do a lot of social work, but it's not a lot of like creating shared value within the company. I think Cocoa for Good is a great example of where they learn to use CSV. And I think that they just need to work on continuing to use that in other aspects of their business. And so thank you for your time. I hope I didn't go over too much, but